Hey friends, welcome to week 13 of your pregnancy and our first week of our foundational class together. This is really important. This is the PT, the physical therapy side of things, the correctional exercises, the prehabilitative exercises. We'll work with your core, your pelvic floor, your breathing, posture, and kind of put it all together. Very important class. Don't skip it. We're going to try to stay as healthy as we can in all these areas throughout pregnancy. All right, for this little class, you're gonna need either a bolster or like a folded up blanket, something you can sit on in your lap, and then a block or folded up towel, something you can squeeze between your legs, and an elevated surface. So I'm gonna use a chair once we get to that point. So everyone wants to talk about the pelvic floor, which is great. We will touch on that now. Throughout this whole journey, I will bring in educational snippets. So we're not going to cover everything right now. But as a little teaser, your pelvic floor is a group of muscles at the base of your pelvis. I actually have a model here, hold on. All right, so the white bone is our pelvis. This back section with the spikes is our spine. And then this is the front, our pubic symphysis. So as you can see inside, we have a bowl shape of our pelvis, and all the red stuff is the muscles that line that. Maybe I'll come closer. All right, so we have a couple of different layers of pelvic floor muscles. We have the superficial layer, which is surrounding your openings. So your anus, your vagina, and your urethra, they are surrounded by your superficial, so close to the surface, pelvic floor muscles. You also have deep layers tucked up underneath that, which are kind of broader and bigger and act more as muscular slings. So this is what kind of holds our organs up and in. So superficial, close to the surface, surrounds the openings, and then deep muscles underneath, which kind of supports and lifts. That being said, our pelvic floor is super, super important. It is a group of muscles, and just like any other muscle group, we should be able to relax the muscles and contract them. And that will be huge. Oftentimes we just hear Kegels, 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 and then we end up getting a tight pelvic floor. And when a muscle is tight, like if my biceps are always contracting, if I really need to contract them in a situation, like if I'm gonna cough or sneeze or jump rope, then I have nowhere to go. I have no more kind of room to overlap these muscle fibers and contract them in a healthy way. So we want to be able to lengthen and contract. So if you ever have any symptoms of leaking or prolapse or anything like that, hopefully some of these exercises can help. Obviously, we can't fix everything, but the role of the pelvic floor, as I said, you have the muscles that control the opening. So this is the squeeze. This is like, we'll practice some contractions in a minute. So these squeeze open around the openings and help with controlling the flow of urine or passing of gas. And then you have the lift of the deeper muscles, and this helps support everything on top of it. So all of your organs in there. Also, the pelvic floor works in conjunction with your diaphragm, which is your breathing muscle. So as you breathe in, your diaphragm contracts and descends down to make room for your lungs to expand, and your pelvic floor also gently descends down. And then as you exhale, it rises back up, even without contracting. That being said, our whole core area, which includes a million muscles, which we'll again talk about in a future class, is sort of a pressure system, a canister, like think of a can of soda. So if one part is not functioning correctly, then the other parts either have to compensate and work harder, or they might bulge out, they might become tight. It's really important to view this whole system as a whole system. So even including your throat and the roof of your mouth, because you can create pressure up here as well. That being said, as we create that intra-abdominal pressure through the use of the diaphragm and the pelvic floor, it acts as a stabilizer for your spine, your SI joint, your pelvis, Everything in this region, if we hold onto that pressure in a healthy way and are able to function kind of under a brace, it can help stabilize our spine. Okay, what else? I think that's all I want to say for now. It also contributes to respiratory function in conjunction with the pelvic floor. Those are the main picture things, and we talked about the different layers. So let's pause there, and we will definitely come back to this at some point. All right, for our first exercise, let's grab that towel or block, place it between your knees, and we're gonna come into a tabletop all fours position. What you might find just based on your pelvis and the anatomy of your diaphragm and all these little asymmetries is that oftentimes the front of the pelvic floor can be in a lengthened position and the back of the pelvic floor can be in a tight position. So we're gonna work on breathing into the back of the pelvic floor. This would be the area around your anus. So squeeze that block between your knees, have your hands underneath your shoulders. As we inhale, we're gonna tuck our toes and rock back. So keep the spine actually nice and neutral. We're not gonna do like a cat-cow. Nice flat spine. On an inhale, rock back. Take a big breath and see if you can send it all the way down to your bottom. And then as we exhale, gentle contraction of your core. So think about kind of hugging your lower ribs and your hip points together without rounding the spine. And we're gonna shift forward onto our wrists and even past onto our fingertips. Squeeze the block, inhale, sit back. Breathe down into your pelvic floor. Exhale, gentle contraction of the core and shift forward. Keep going at a pace that works for you. You might also find that if you bring your feet out a little bit, so knees are more narrow than your feet, this can help you open up that posterior pelvic floor. Let's do one more with this breath per movement pace. Inhale to sit back into those glutes. Breathe into the back of the pelvic floor. Exhale to lean forward. Good, we're gonna sit back one more time and hold for a few breaths. Squeeze the block. This activates your adductors and can kind of inhibit the opposing muscles, so your muscles around the posterior pelvic floor, which might be tight. Flat spine, sit back into your hips. As soon as you kind of feel your pelvis dumping, you've gone too far. And then breathe. And when we say breathing down into your pelvic floor, what we want is a gentle, I don't want to say pushing out, but a gentle pushing out. Because as we breathe in, there's that gentle pressure down. And then as we exhale, usually in a healthy body, our pelvic floor will contract up. Good, all right. Remove the block or towel, and we're gonna come into a side sit. So let's have our left leg kind of on top, and our right foot will slide underneath our left hip. I think this is called like mermaid sit or something in yoga. All right, from here, I want you to find the area between where your sports bra ends and your pants begin, depending on how high-waisted they are. This is where we kind of want to round. So we want to round through the back body, not just through the upper spine, but kind of in that mid to low back area. All right, so you can place your hand there kind of as a reference point. Bring your right hand over to your left knee. So we're having a bit of a round and a side body stretch. And from here, you can now bring your left hand underneath your body to your right ribs. We're gonna take some deep breaths into the side body. Thinking about stretching all those little intercostal muscles between each rib space. And it's so important to keep breathing into the side and back body, because as baby grows, they will put pressure in various areas, but the pressure goes to the area of least resistance, which is often either the pelvic floor or diastasis, the area in the middle. If we stay nice and expansive and mobile through the other areas, it can help mitigate some of that excessive pressure on pelvic floor and diastasis. All right, let's take 5 more deep breaths here into your left hand. Either reaching underneath or back behind you. So side body and back body. Good. All right, rise back up and switch sides. So now our right leg is kind of on top, our left foot is tucked underneath our right hip. Use your hand back behind you to find that area between your sports bra and pants waistband, and take a little bit of a turn and round towards your right leg from there. Now bring your left hand to your right knee. Right hand slides underneath to the left ribs. Easier if you have longer arms. I have short arms, so this is kind of hard. And think about breathing into that back body and side body on the left side. Like you could fill up your left lung like a balloon. And of course, as we breathe, we can't 100% entirely bias it to one area. So you're gonna feel your belly and your chest expand too, but even having that intention and making a little bit of change will help. Let's do 3 more breaths. Good. Gently release. This is where, if you have an elevated surface, go ahead and grab that. I might use the bolster, I might use the chair, we'll see. Grab what you have. And we are going to do a modified side plank today. At some point, I'm sure we'll do regular side planks, but this is a nice option to start out with and to regress to further on later on in pregnancy if you need. All right, so place your right elbow and forearm on whatever object you have. Cross your left foot in front of your right. If you need more support and being on your feet as opposed to your knees is really hard, bring that left foot in front of your hip and extend the right leg back behind it. This is a great option. If you're able, extend left leg long, cross it in front of right. Now we're pressing down through our elbow and our shoulder. So don't let your shoulder and ear creep up towards each other. In this side plank, I want us to turn our lower ribs and pelvis a little bit down towards the right. Think about squeezing that right side body. And again, breathe into the back body. We're breathing under a brace, which means we're breathing under abdominal contraction, and it's an eccentric contraction. So keep going, as our right obliques and all of our abs are contracting, they also have to lengthen a little bit as we breathe. So that's called an eccentric contraction. Let's do 3 more breaths. This chair is very pointy. Find something softer maybe. And we do that little turn down so we avoid arching in the low back and overusing our paraspinal muscles. 1 more breath. Good, release, and we will switch sides. All right, prop up through your left arm and elbow. This time we're gonna cross right foot in front of left, whether that means both legs straight or the right knee is bent, kind of shooting out from the right hip. All right, so a little bit turn of the right, or sorry, I need a towel if I have one. Little turn of the right hip and ribs down, again to avoid arching in the low back and using the wrong muscles for this. All right, so we're lifting up through the left obliques, breathing into the back body and side body. See if you can expand the back of your sports bra. Do 2 more breaths. Lift up a little higher through the left obliques. 1 more breath. Good. Lower down. Sorry, I was a wimp with my elbows. Should have done on the bolster. Okay. Remove your object. We will do 1 more exercise. Grab your blanket or your yoga bolster or a cushion, a pillow, and we're gonna slide it between our legs and sit down. So this is gonna provide some little kind of feedback for our pelvic floor. All right, find a nice neutral pelvis to begin with, so we're not dumping forward or rounding back. Tall posture, little bit of your chin tucked backwards and shoulders back. And see first if you can feel your pelvic floor gently descend on an inhale. So you might even feel it kind of pushing into the pillow, or if you sat on an exercise ball, that's a good way to feel this as well. You can also always use your fingers as feedback down there as well. Okay, so we're just working on breathing and inhaling and kind of releasing, stretching, opening the pelvic floor for now. The exhale is just a natural exhale. We're not contracting on purpose. We're not lifting anything. Natural recoil. So if you feel like you're in a spot where you're able to relax your pelvic floor, we can move on to contracting it. If you're not, keep working on those rock backs and keep working on breathing down into your pelvic floor, which we will go over multiple other positions to relax it in, but these are the 2 we have for today, so keep working on those. If you want to progress to some contractions, we're going to do them a couple different ways. So first, I want you to think about closing the holes, so the squeeze. And maybe we'll start with the front of the pelvic floor. So thinking about picking up a blueberry with your vagina or urethra, or a marble, or stopping the flow of urine. So just contracting the very front of the pelvic floor. I've also heard a cue of doing like a nod of your clitoris. That could also be helpful. So inhale, relax, breathe into the pelvic floor. Exhale, gentle squeeze of the front of the pelvic floor. Pick up that marble or blueberry. Inhale, relax. Exhale, gentle squeeze. And if you find that you're contracting everything at once, it's okay, it's very normal. The core is also involved, your TAs. Let's do 1 more of those. Good. Now we're gonna switch it to the back, the posterior pelvic floor. So now a good cue is like if you had to stop the passing of gas or picking up something with your anus. So breathe in, relax, release into the pelvic floor. Exhale, gentle squeeze of the back. Inhale, relax. And exhale, gentle squeeze. 1 more breath here. Good. Now on this next little section, I want us to think about squeezing those 3 holes your urethra, vagina, anus. And then we're gonna think about lifting too. So incorporating that deeper sling-like layer of your pelvic floor. So we squeeze and then we lift. Inhale to relax. Exhale, squeeze, and then lift. You definitely probably will feel some more contraction through your transversus abdominis as well. Inhale, relax. Exhale, squeeze, and lift. Inhale, relax. Exhale, squeeze around the holes, and then lift everything up. Good. Now, since we're on this lovely pillow, we are gonna kind of tilt through our pelvis and see if that makes a difference in your ability to bias one part of the pelvic floor versus another. So I want you to magnetize your pubic bone down towards the cushion, coming into an anterior pelvic tilt, so you're arching your low back. And maybe just do 1 or 2 of the front pelvic floor and the back pelvic floor, see if you feel a difference. I personally feel like it's easier to contract the front of the pelvic floor in this position. Okay, now let's just do 1 rep where we contract everything. Inhale, relax. And exhale, squeeze and lift. Good. Now we're going to do the opposite with our pelvis. Roll it back, find a little round and tuck. And first play with contracting the front and the back for a couple breaths. Definitely easier to contract the back here, I think. A little harder to contract the front. All right, let's do 1 breath together. Inhale to relax. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Good. All right, so those are just some ideas to play around with. Obviously, we can't do 10 breaths in each position for this video, but go through this again now that you know the exercises and are a little bit more aware of your body. See what you feel. Practice, play around a little bit. Yeah, hopefully that was really helpful. We will continue to bring in these educational pieces once a week, so it'll be great. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time.